This right here is the Bark phone, and it could be the best smartphone that a parent could give to their child, but it doesn't look like a kid's phone that could potentially embarrass your child at school. So in this video, we're going to take a look at this phone, we're going to look at all those parental controls, and hopefully this video will answer your questions about this phone. First, I gotta give you guys my disclaimer that this phone was given to me for free to do a review, and this video is not sponsored. Also, second disclaimer, I don't have a kid, so in this video, I'm not going to talk about parenting or what is right and what is wrong. In this video, I'm just going to focus on the features that this phone has to offer. And with that out of the way, let's get started with what's inside of the box, which isn't much, which is a good thing. I like it when packages are minimalistic. Inside of the box, you're just going to get the phone, a USB-C to USB-C cable, and that's it. So when you turn on the phone, right away, there's nothing you can do. You got to activate it on your Bark account, and you got to enable all your settings. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the Bark dashboard. The first thing you got to do is put your child's name, and of course, if you're worried about the age, you can always make it approximate. You don't have to put the exact birth date. And then you're going to set up Wi-Fi on the Bark phone. Now the phone already comes activated with the service, depending on what plan you picked, but it's a good idea to set up Wi-Fi right away so that you can download the apps, and so that you can update your phone to the latest security updates. And then on the next page, this is where you can see that you can enable or disable certain features. These are the really important features like texting, improved contacts. So this is great if you just want your child to text you or just certain family members. You don't want them to text anybody else, no strangers, no spammers. You can improve contacts. So if they want to text someone, you'll get a notification. It will say who they're trying to text, and the child can put who that person is. So let's say a classmate, friend, a neighbor. You get the idea. You can enable or disable the camera, which is a pretty good idea. And you can also disable web browsing. Also keep in mind, it's very easy to turn on and off these features only on the Bark account. On the phone itself, they cannot change any of these settings. It will just be blacked out. On the phone, it will say this feature is not allowed. So there is no way for the child to uninstall the app or to change any of these settings. And after that, you're going to get a screen that says congratulations, the device is set up and ready for use. And it's going to tell you the number right there. So from here, the phone is ready to use, but there's still more work that needs to be done. You got to set up the App Store, which is pretty easy. You just got to sign into Google Play. You got to choose, do you want to use your child's Google account or do you want to use your Google account? There are pros and cons to each one. If you're using your own Google account, then you can see what apps your child downloaded. And if your child wants to buy an app, you'll get the approval. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the rules. This is where it gets a little complicated because you have a lot of options. And we're going to look at routines because this is pretty interesting. With routines, you can enable or disable certain features at a certain time. For example, let's say when the child is in school, they can only use certain features. Like they can only text you when they're at school. And the same thing for their location. So on school days, they can only use the phone to text you. And that's it. And they can't use the camera in school. But when school is over, then let's say you can put that they can use the camera or they can use certain apps. Or let's say when it's bedtime, you can't use any of the features on the phone. You can't web browse, can't use apps, can't text. Again, that's all based on your choice. So it's really handy that you could do this. I remember as a teenager, my dad would just unplug the modem. That was it. That was bedtime for us. He would just unplug the modem and like, that's it. No more internet for you. And I hated that. But of course, it was for good reason. Now let's check out Insights. This is the area where you can see an overview of all the activity on the phone. Like all the apps that were installed on the phone, and you can see your alerts. Bark also has sensitivity monitoring. You can monitor if your child is talking about certain things like anxiety, bullying, body image or eating disorders, depression, and of course every child is different, they behave differently, they have a different sense of humor. It's up to you to decide what you want to enable or disable. You can also monitor social media apps like Instagram, so they can have an account. So if you choose to let them have an Instagram account, you can monitor what they do on Instagram, who they follow, who they talk to. Again, this is all a choice that you can enable or disable based on the child's maturity and how much trust there is. So I think that about covers it for the monitoring. That obviously was a lot, and I didn't cover everything, but those were the important things. And I think at this point you get the idea of how easy it is to turn off and on certain features. There is one major feature I forgot to mention, and that is location sharing. You can set up certain alerts when your child is at a certain location. So let's say when they're at school, you'll get a notification when your child arrives at school, when they leave school. When they arrive home, you can get a notification. So that gives you a peace of mind of where your child is. So again, like I said, I'm not a parent, but I understand how this feature could be really helpful. So let's wrap up this video and let's talk about the device itself. It's nothing fancy. It is a bare minimum Android smartphone. This is a Samsung A13. It's about $100 and it does the basics. Pretty slow, but it gets the job done when it comes to texting and opening apps. This is not the type of phone that you're going to be using all day. This is just for texting and calling and very minimal app use. which is okay. You're not going to take high quality Instagram photos with this, but it's mostly just for a child to have so that they can send photos to their parents or their friends. So that about does it for my review on the Bark phone. I think this will give parents a peace of mind knowing where their child is and knowing that they are safe with their phone. It gives them a phone that can grow with them over the next 2 years. So if you are interested in the Bark phone, I will have a link in the video description below. If you have any questions, you can leave in the comments below, or you can reach out to me on Instagram at ernesto.tech.